You can also send us an email. Here's our email address. It's questions@corechristianity.com. And here's one from David. He says, do 1 Timothy 3:4 and Titus 1:6 prohibit men without children from serving as elders?
Yeah, so this is an excellent question, one that we've received before. And how important is it for us to think about the qualifications for these offices in the church, in particular the elder, the pastor? And so you find them in 1 Timothy 3, and one of the things that Paul says there in 1 Timothy chapter 3 is that, the pastor, has to care for his family well. I'm just going to start in verse 1 because it's so important for us to understand these things when we think about the pastoral ministry. The saying is trustworthy, Paul said. If anyone aspires to the office of overseer, he desires a noble task. Therefore, an overseer must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, sober-minded, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not a drunkard, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. He must manage his own household well with all dignity, keeping his children submissive. If someone does not know how to manage his own household, how will he care for God's church? And then, of course, in Titus chapter 1, you see this same idea as you have the qualifications listed there. In Titus 1:6, if anyone is above reproach, the husband of one wife, and his children are believers, that word can also be translated faithful, not open to the charge of debauchery or insubordination. So look, I don't think what Paul is saying here is that you can't be a pastor unless you have a wife and kids. I think what he's saying is for those pastors who are called and have a family, one of the ways you can gauge their qualification for the ministry is how they care for their family. This is so important, and Paul makes the point very clear in 1 Timothy 3. If this individual is not caring for their family well, if they're not shepherding their family well, then how are they going to be able to shepherd the flock of God? How can you entrust them with the church if they haven't taken care of their family first and foremost? And so I think that's what the Apostle Paul is getting at specifically there. And we know actually that Paul himself, as an overseer, as a shepherd, as a pastor, if you will, was not married. He says that in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, as he's talking to the Corinthians about marriage, about relationships, husbands and wives. He encourages actually there on a couple of occasions singleness. He says, look, I think it might be better for you to be as I am, single, considering the present distress. And so I don't think that there should be any rule that says, you if you're going to be a pastor, you either can't have any children, the sort of priesthood idea, family and children, or you have to have a family and kids. No, it's getting into the qualifications in particular for ministry. And so the takeaway for us is as we're thinking about those who we call into the ministry, the church calls people into the ministry, pastors, to serve the church. We want to think about, is this an individual with integrity? How have they cared for and stewarded the gifts that God has already given to them? If they have a family, are they watching over them? Are they shepherding them well? And if not, then they're not qualified to shepherd the flock of God.
Well, you are highly qualified with 5 kids, and I figure if you have 5 more, you'll be super highly qualified.
No, I don't think so, actually. Well, that's the funny thing is just having a lot of kids doesn't make you qualified, actually. It could be deceptive. No, it's loving our families well and caring for them and doing everything you can to raise them in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And so appreciate your...
Well, you do that really well. I've seen you interact with your kids, and they love you and you love them. So.
I do, yeah. Amen.